AST Voltson Super Trucks is back at what is known as the world's fastest 3/8 miler. The Kalamazoo Speedway in southwestern Michigan hosts the 6th race of the season to kick off the second half of the 2017 championship. 6 drivers were unable to qualify for tonight's race, consisting of Tiffany Rogers, who DNQs for the first time in her career, as well as Jenny Jackson, last year's Galesburg winner. Alex Raston, the 97, also missed the show, as did Bailey Bliss, the Toledo winner and one of the current championship contenders, also did not make the race after hitting the wall on her qualifying lap. That's a huge disappointment for the 89 team, and she's going to have a lot of work to do if she wants to recover from that as far as points are concerned. Danny Vigo in the 80 truck also missed the show, as did Nick Moss in the 74. This race will be 75 laps in length, a little longer than most of the feature races at the short tracks in this series. And without further ado, we'll take you straight to the action with the highlight coverage of the race. On the pole position for the first time in his Voltson Super Trucks career is Archer Helms, the Kentucky driver in the 153 SAR. On his outside is Samantha Spires, who finished runner-up here at Kalamazoo in last year's race. And Helms gets off to a great start over the 87, pulling into the lead by the end of the first lap. But things aren't going so smoothly behind them in the midfield, as a number of cars are way out of shape. That's the 53 of Scott Madigan, who's going to get turned by Amberly Weiss through turn 3. He keeps it under control, but there's a stack up as a result, and Aiden Shepard gets sent around on the front stretch in truck number 42. The 55, Madigan's teammate of Ben Maddox, got sandwiched in what was a 5-wide battle briefly before it fell to pieces, and Shepard, making his Voltson Super Trucks debut tonight, gets sent around on the front stretch. Fortunately, he manages to get away from that relatively unscathed, but while trying to negotiate that accident, Alex DeFranco and Adam Ramirez are going to trip over each other, and DeFranco gets put into the turn 1 wall, as well as Michael McKinley in the 99M, who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Helms leads the field to the restart with Jason Miller hot on his heels in truck number 40, and in third place on the restart is the 77 truck of Legend Hart. Hart soon going to lose that position to Brian Kelly as the 6th truck goes on by, but this is the best start that we have seen from either of the legendary motorsports trucks in any race this year. Of course, Tiffany Rogers failed to qualify for the event here tonight, and Hart has not been having the best of seasons himself, but he's off to a great start here at Kalamazoo, running just outside the top 5 now that he's lost a couple more spots. Brian Kelly made quick work of Jason Miller to move himself into the 2nd spot, and now a few laps later, Camden Rhodes is going to move himself past his boss and into 3rd. Operation JM, the team for which Rhodes and Miller drive, has been one of the most successful teams in the Voltson Super Trucks. They are tied with 2 Quick Motorsports for the most race victories, but this year they have really struggled to find speed, which has been very uncharacteristic of the Indiana-based operation. It looks like tonight might be a turnaround, however, as they are both running in the top 5, and Brian Kelly, showing no signs of slowing down, is now going on Archer Helms for the lead. Kelly, moving himself into the top spot with relative ease, looks to have a very fast race truck underneath him tonight, as we have seen from him so many times in the past. Perhaps his maiden victory awaits him at the end of this 75-lap event, but he's got competition behind him as well, as the Operation JM trucks now begin to team up against the 153. Amberly Weiss has moved herself into the picture as well. That orange 75 truck running at 5th has historically done very well at this track. Miller gets by the 153 truck for 2nd place, and now Rhodes looking to make his move, but he's going to get a little too close to Helms off turn 2, turn him into the inside wall down the backstretch, and they're both wrecking in turn 3. Rhodes is going to get hit by John Bennett there on the 58, who wasn't quite able to avoid the 62. Let's go on board Amberly Weiss and get the view that she had of this incident. It looks like Rhodes got a little too close to Helms off the corner, got into the back of the 153, and there was no saving it from there. Archer Helms, after having one of the best starts of his career, is unfortunately going to be knocked out of contention by this, and under caution, Grant Edwards in the 79 truck reports to the pit lane with mechanical issues on his truck. He's going to rejoin the race, but will lose a lap in the process. Kelly leads over Miller to the restart, with Amberly Weiss running in 3rd, but we are immediately going to get another caution, and once again it'll be for the 62 truck. This time he's the one that's going to get turned off in turn 2, as Lyman Mills in truck number 8 gets into the back of him off the corner in very similar fashion to the 2nd caution. Lyman Mills, the NRC driver, making his debut in tonight's race along with his teammate David Bloom. Looks like he overdrove the corner just a little bit on the restart. And under this caution, we have another truck experiencing mechanical troubles. This one looks to be much more severe, as Chase Eberhardt's truck has gone up in smoke. And that's got to be a big disappointment for both himself and the hometown crowd. Eberhardt, of course, won here in 2014. And on the restart, Kelly leads over Miller and Weiss once more. But this time, whoa, contact between the 75 and the 40 off turn 2. We nearly had another crash there. And off turn 4, Kelly's going to hit the wall. He had the opportunity to get away there as Miller and Weiss got together behind him, but he overdrove the corner. Perhaps his tires cooled off a little more than he was expecting, and he's going to hit the wall again the very next lap as Danila Jacobson gets by him as well. So Jason Miller suddenly finds himself in the lead, with Kelly facing tremendous pressure from Ben Maddox, Jay McCarthy, and Zach Churchill, among others, and he hits the wall yet again the next lap as well. He better be careful that he doesn't knock something loose on that truck. They're not meant to take that badly of a beating, even if they are designed for short tracks. But once more, Jason Miller and Danila Jacobson have now moved themselves into the first and second positions, with Miller trying to open up a lead over the 57. Grant Edwards has gotten his lap back as the leaders kind of stumbled a bit on that restart and allowed him to get away. Jacobson, Ben Maddox, and Zach Churchill now hold positions 2 through 4, but behind them the running order begins to get rather interesting, as Aiden Shepard has worked his way all the way up into the top 5 in spite of having been spun on the second lap of the race. Right behind him, another debutant racer, Lyman Mills, is running in 6th. Million Motors, one of the more successful teams of the NRC East Division, has brought 2 trucks to this race, one for Mills, one of their NRC racers, and the other for the FARC competitor David Bloom. And let's not forget Michael McKinley running right behind him in 7th, who was also involved in the lap 2 crash. And Shepard is not done working his way through the field yet. He gets around Zach Churchill for the 4th position, and shortly thereafter gets by Ben Maddox for 3rd. This is an impressive run, to say the least, from the Texas driver, and he's not showing any signs of slowing down at this point. Towards the other end of the field, we find the 87 of Samantha Spires, who, after starting on the front row, has not been having a very good race up to this point. Perhaps the long-run setup was not nearly as good as her qualifying setup in that truck. With Archer Helms running right in front of her, Helms has not been able to make up much ground, and Spires nearly loses it off at turn 4, but manages to recollect it on the front stretch. But as I was saying, Helms has not been able to make up much ground after being wrecked by Camden Rhodes on lap 18, which is very unfortunate considering how fast he's been all weekend here at Kalamazoo. In the meantime, Jason Miller has caught up to the back of the field and is now about to put the Zero truck of David Bloom a lap down. Bloom, the FARC competitor from Ohio, only barely managed to qualify for the race. He started in the last row alongside his teammate Lyman Mills, but while Mills has stormed his way through the field to put himself in the top 5, Bloom has yet to pass a truck on track, except for a few that were crashing. And just like that, the rest of the leaders have caught up to the Zero truck as he hits the wall fairly hard off of turn 4. But before Danila Jacobson can get around Bloom, she's going to lose the second spot to Ben Maddox, who gets around her on the inside and brings Brian Kelly in the 6th truck with him. They both just got around the 42 of Aiden Shepard to move him back into 5th, and now Jacobson about to lose 3rd to Kelly as he gets around the 57 truck. But Maddox can't find a way around Bloom's truck either, and now second place is going to change hands yet again as Brian Kelly takes back the position. As we are riding on board the 6th truck now, you can see out his windshield that Jason Miller is nowhere in sight. Kelly's going to have to clear the Zero quickly if he wants to have a chance at chasing Miller down for the win. But as you can see, Bloom isn't exactly making life easy for these drivers. They have lost a lot of ground to Miller, and as Bloom runs wide in turn 4, he's finally going to let some more trucks go on by, as Brian Kelly, Aiden Shepard, and Amberly Weiss get away. Weiss fell back a bit through the mid-stages, but has charged her way back up to the front, now trying to go for... Oh no, she's on the apron and slowing down on the front stretch! Weiss is in trouble, and with only 4 laps to go. Weiss was making a move for 3rd on Aiden Shepard, but a piston failure, not 1 minute from the finish, is going to send her into the pits and out of the race. That's a huge disappointment for Weiss and the 75 crew. But back on the track, the battle is on for 4th between Jacobson, Weiss's teammate, Maddox, Mills, and Churchill, as Brian Kelly and Aiden Shepard have begun to pull away from these 4 trucks. Jacobson, down to the inside, is going to take the 4th spot back from Maddox and bring Mills with her into the 5th spot. Churchill not quite able to follow them through, but in the meantime, Jason Miller is long gone. He has put several more trucks a lap down, and he's not going to face any competition for this victory. After a very slow start to the season for him and his self-owned team, it's all going to turn around tonight. With this third career victory, Jason Miller wins at the Kalamazoo Speedway. This is the first victory for Miller since 2015, in which he won both of the first two races that he ever started in this series, and it is also the 7th victory for Operation JM, breaking their tie with Two Quick Motorsports as the winningest team in the Super Trucks. Brian Kelly finishes runner-up yet again in truck number 6. It is only a matter of time before that team wins a race with the speed that they've shown since they first joined the series, but unfortunately for Kelly, he's going to have to wait a little longer. Aiden Shepard finishes in 3rd on debut. Jay McCarthy, his teammate, impressed last week at Winston. Shepard did very much the same tonight. Daniela Jacobson comes home with a 4th place result, continuing her strong season this year. Lyman Mills, the second driver in the top 5 who never started a race in the series before tonight, brought home a great result for the Million Motors team in their debut race. Zach Churchill finishes in 6th after a strong race of his own. Ben Maddox comes home in 7th. Legend Art in 8th gets a much-needed top 10 result for the Legendary Motorsports team. Adam Ramirez is in 9th, and the other Binford truck of Wilson Timothy rounds out the top 10.